Hey everybody, welcome to today's Digital Making at Home live stream. I'm Mr. C, coming to you live from Cambridge as always, and back once again with the amazing Christina. How are you, Christina?
Hello. Hi. It's great to be back. I know I missed last week, but I'm excited. And if wherever you all are joining us from, let us know where you are. I'm in Nebraska currently, and I wasn't here last week, but I saw the stream. It was awesome. Thank you. Shout out to Becky for co-hosting with you. Y'all have fun?
Okay. Yeah, we had a great time. It was really awesome to have Becky on. I think it was a really fun episode. We did some great stuff, but we missed you, and I'm glad that you're back. What was your Thanksgiving like? What sort of things did you get up to?
Yeah, thanks for asking. It was definitely different. It was a lot of staying home, but a lot of eating, which is, that's why Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. It's just focused on eating. So we had our sweet potato casserole, as always. We had pecan pie. Oh, I see a question.
Do you put marshmallows on your sweet potatoes?
I have in the past. We didn't this year. We definitely made like a really delicious topping because I think that's why you eat the sweet potato casserole. It's for the topping. It's never really for the sweet potatoes.
It's a vehicle for marshmallows.
Yeah. I'm seeing folks coming in. Larry from Canada on YouTube. Hi, Larry. Hi, Ali from Iraq on Facebook. Hi, Chris from Northern Michigan. All right, United States. Awesome. Welcome.
So for those of you people who are joining us for the first time, welcome. Thanks for coming along. Digital Making at Home is all about getting young people like you making, coding, creating cool stuff with technology. So every week we're chatting with awesome people. We code together, we make cool stuff and see digital products from all over the world. And this week we're chatting with two amazing people. We're broadcasting them live to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. So we'll be able to see your comments and hear from you. So make sure you hit your subscribe button so that you can get all of our updates when we come live and we do all our videos and new content coming out all the time. So if you go to rpf.io/sub, you can click that button there and show all the other fun content that we upload throughout the day. We also just hit 500 subscribers in our community, Christina. How cool is that?
Amazing. It's really cool. So for folks, we've got this channel. It's a new channel that we're starting for digital making at home, for all the cool stuff from Code Club, Coder Dojo. We would love our community, and we're so excited to have already 500 of you subscribe. So click that subscribe button. Click it now.
Nice. And shout outs to Bumble Devardoj, to Deepak Gupta and Giancarlo Lombardi out there. They're our most recent subscribers. Thanks for being part of our community. It's really great to have you come along and watch what we're doing every week. And we're going to shout out Lucas Johnny, who's just subscribed. So thanks for hitting that button there, man. Well done. And thanks for watching in. Should we jump into it, Christina?
Yes. I'm really excited to be hosting this week's stream with you because, like you mentioned, we have two amazing special guests who are going to be coming on and telling us about the projects that they've been working on together, from space science to making sounds from the pandemic. These two have done some really cool things. So we actually have a video to check out what they've been up to.
Awesome.
Hi, we are the Scales, the masked scales.
We built an instrument with sensors and cameras to collect real-time environment and traffic data during COVID-19 lockdown.
We use machine learning and NASA's Earth Observatory Worldview to analyze the changes. We use data sonification to convert our analysis into a musical. Let's hear it.
That is amazing, right? So
so cool.
Crazy, right? It's crazy. I think we'll get them on to explain what it was we just watched. I think there's some people out there who might be going, what was that?
What just happened?
Yeah, it was pretty cool though, right? They've worked together on so many different complicated projects. I think for me, with my brother, I don't think we could have managed that sort of collaboration at their age, to be honest. Don't know about you.
I think, I have a younger brother, and we never worked on projects. We actually did take a music theory class together in high school. So I remember that teacher was really excited I'm really excited to talk about the music and how they created the pandemic musical that we're going to be chatting about. But in terms of doing a group project together, I'm impressed. So let's bring them on.
Let's get them on. Hey, how's it going? Artash and Arushi.
Hey, hi. It's a pleasure to be speaking here.
Oh, it's great to have you, man. It's really nice to have both of you. So, I guess my first question for both of you, Arushi, how did both of you get into coding and digital making?
Well, it started about 6 years ago. Basically, as a kid, we've been both we love making, and we're very curious. I love arts and craft, and sometimes my dad used to get kids home, and then there was step-to-step instructions about how to make maybe a robot, and was very inspired to see that robot move. Well, and just like 6 years ago, we heard about hackathons. Hackathons are events where the organizers give you a couple of challenges, and all the teams have 48 hours to think of an interesting and creative solution to that problem. Then they pitch their solutions to the judges. So, the first hackathon we participated in was the NASA Space App Challenge.
Oh, wow.
So in that challenge, we actually made a robot called CuriousBot.
Ooh, bring that closer.
Our very first project.
Oh, wow. And for your first one to be NASA, that's pretty big. That's a big endeavor to jump into. That's really awesome. Tell us about, what does that do?
Yeah, so this robot is called CuriousBot. Basically, it's meant to detect obstacles on its route and then avoid them by changing their route. So this is actually the time where we used the Arduino programming language for the first time. So basically we were learning how to program motors and how to get readings from sensors and how to correlate the two of them.
Wow, that's super cool.
So I really liked this going to hackathons, and we actually wanted to pursue this path. So we started learning more about the Arduino programming language. Eventually, we also got introduced to a new programming language called Python. So we learned both these coding languages using like Kids Code Jeunesse, and we went to Coder Dojo, and we also took sometimes some online classes like Coursera. And after participating in this hackathon, we participated in many more, or almost 45, and won money at them.
Wow. You mentioned Kids Code Jeunesse. So you all are based in Canada, right?
Yes.
Okay. What part of Canada?
We're in Toronto.
Nice. All right. So we've got 3 countries represented today. I'm always trying to get more countries on our show. So really shout out to Kids Code Jeunesse. Awesome program. Love them and have worked with their team before. So let's talk a little bit. I know a lot of your projects are around astronomy and astrophysics. And as when we were talking before, what is it about those topics? I personally love space. We have talked about space before on the stream. I just named my dog after a constellation. What is it about space and astrophysics that you all love?
Absolutely. Well, in fact, I'm really glad you brought up that topic because we got passionate about astronomy and space from a really young age. So when we were just 5 or 6 years old, we went out in the balcony of our condo and stared up at the night sky. So we didn't know much, but the first nursery rhyme that everyone learns is Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. So obviously we were really interested in space. And after a while, we even got our own telescope. And this was awesome because we could take a much closer look at all the fascinating objects in the sky. Some of our favorite things to look at were the planet Mars and Saturn with its awesome rings. After that, we obviously wanted to get a little bit more involved inside this instead of just observing. So we joined an awesome community that's called the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada. And they host meetings near Toronto where we can meet other amateur astronomers that share similar passions to us. And you know what? The most amazing thing is that they had a big telescope that anyone could use. So I remember when we used to visit the observatory, we in fact used to have tents because there wasn't actually any facilities there. And we used to be awake until 3 a.m. observing different objects. So galaxies, nebulas, and making small sketches on our notepads.
What's the neatest thing that you've seen? When I'm thinking back, I think Orion's Nebula was something I saw as a kid that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen in a telescope. How about you all, Artash and Arushi? What was the coolest thing you've seen?
Well, the coolest thing are definitely deep sky objects because they're so far away, yet we can find so much information about them just sitting on Earth. Some of my favorites, in fact, are globular clusters. So globular clusters are a lot of stars tightly packed together. And it's amazing to see them because imagine if you were in a globular cluster, you would be surrounded by stars.
Yeah. How about for you, Arushi?
And And for me, my favorite constellation is Orion and I love looking at it in winter nights. And my favorite planet is Saturn because I love looking at rings of Saturn.
Yeah,
Me
those are super cool.
too.
Yeah, me too.
Saturn, yeah,
Yeah, I
shout
love
out to
that.
Saturn. Coolest planet out there.
Yeah. See, I was very lucky growing up on the southern hemisphere where we were in Australia. You can look out, and we look out across the plane of the Milky Way galaxy.
Oh,
And
wow.
so we have like a really bright stripe in the sky, which is just like as you look across the plane of the galaxy, all the stars all the way through the distance just create a fog of brightness. It's pretty cool. When you search into that, like you just go deeper and deeper and deeper. It looks really cool.
That's amazing. That was something that Nebraska is a lot of sky. Like there is a lot of sky here. And we were driving recently and it was at night and there's no light pollution. And I hadn't seen, like I had to go actively out somewhere in the past to go see the Milky Way. And it was just like, we had to stop the car and look up and it was absolutely incredible. It's definitely, I was like, okay, thank you, 2020. You've got me to a place where I can regularly see the Milky Way. Like I can go out tonight and like, that was incredible. It's Oh,
that's awesome.
Really
love that
cool.
silver lining. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Very nice. And so, I mean, you guys both took your learning and the things that you did and you entered Coolest Project. Can you tell us about the Mars Scales project? Because that's the thing that we saw in the video. And that's the thing that I think is really awesome. Like, because I'm doing some stuff in machine learning at the minute. And so could you sort of have a go at like explaining what it was that you did?
Yeah, absolutely. So this project really started when COVID-19 pandemic first affected Canada. So this was about in March. And obviously, many of you know that your schools have shut down. And so all our doors to school were shut down. But we wanted to open a window to education. So when we used to wake up in the morning, we realized that we could hear birds chirping outside the window. And we thought this was really unusual because we live in downtown Toronto, which alone has a population of over 3 million people. So how could we hear these chirping of birds over all the usual traffic? And we soon realized that the COVID-19 lockdown meant a great change in our environment. So there was much less traffic for one thing, and less people are going to work every day. So we wanted to actually measure these changes in our environment on our own, using all the learning that we had got, combining us of making, music, science. So we first of all wanted to measure the changes in sound levels outside the street, because since there are less cars, there's going to be less sound. We also wanted to measure the change in pollution, because more cars means more pollution, less cars means less pollution. So in fact, we created a sensor box. So we have our sensor box.
Yeah, let's
right
see it.
here.
Ooh, all right.
This had all the sensors that we wanted to, for all the things that we wanted to measure. And in fact, we took this sensor box and put it outside our balcony for over 3 weeks. So yeah, and we had it being measuring and collecting data for those entire 3 weeks, which measured from during the COVID-19 lockdown to after the COVID-19 lockdown. And then we analyzed these results using both Microsoft Excel as well as Python. And in addition, we also wanted to take some more data. So one thing that we thought would be really important is counting the number of cars outside the road. But there isn't actually any sensor called traffic sensor. So we had to create our own kind of sensor here. So I took a video camera and put it outside my balcony that faces the street in front of me. So how this works is that it takes pictures of the road and then uses a machine learning algorithm I wrote in Python to identify the cars and count how many cars are passing by the road every minute. And we found some really, really cool results from our project. So we found that the sound in the streets decreased by 30%. So it decreased by almost 1/3.
Wow.
The pollution decreased by 40%, which was even more significant. The biggest change, though, came in traffic. My traffic sensor measured that the number of cars during the COVID-19 lockdown was half as much as it usually is. So the traffic on the road decreased by 2 times. So this definitely showed us how big this impact of the COVID-19 lockdown was on our society. This was all really cool, in fact. But we wanted to go one step further. We can always look at this data in terms of graphs, but we wanted to make sure that anyone, from kids to adults, could understand these changes. And that's why we decided to convert the changes we measured into a musical. This musical would be representing 3 weeks of data from during the COVID-19 lockdown to after the COVID-19 lockdown. Different changes were represented by different instruments inside our data. So, for example, the vehicle emissions was represented by an instrument that's called the marimba. And in addition to this, we also wanted to add a little bit of dynamics to this music to make it more rich. So we control the speed of the music depending on the number of COVID-19 cases in Toronto. So if you remember the music, during the COVID-19 lockdown, the music really slowed down because all the sensors that we were measuring had lowered.
Very interesting. And so the tempo of your music was dictated by your data as well? So the more data you had, the faster it went? Or how was it interpreted inside the music?
Yeah, so how it worked is that we took the vehicle and COVID-19 cases data. So when that decreased, we decided that the pace of the music should increase. So this is the tempo. So this is the music comes on and plays. So that's what affected the speed of the music inside our project.
Very interesting. That's really cool, man. That's amazing. I mean, how was it that you sort of, I mean, music and machine learning is a really nice way to combine stuff. I think looking at the data that you were collecting, was it a natural jump for you to go to music?
Yeah. Are you two musicians?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Arushi here plays the piano, and I play the acoustic guitar. So we've been taking classes for a few different instruments ever since we were young. So it seemed natural to involve music into our projects, especially since music is not something that only certain people listen to. Everyone listens to music. Younger people may listen to hip hop or rap, and older people may listen to classical music. But everyone likes music. So if we were to express our projects or involve music into them, it makes it that much more fun for people to hear about and understand.
Neat. As someone in the middle, I listen to both. Both groups of music. Yeah. It was really, how did you decide which instruments to dedicate? I think we saw it you had the marimba, there's the piano. Why did you decide on those specific instruments to represent certain data?
Well, actually, for example, we used a marimba for the light because the light was kind of constant. Like in the morning, it was very bright. In the night, it was a bit darker. So that's why. And as marimba is known to make a beat, it would be a good beat for our music. And for example, the number of COVID-19 cases every day, we saw that it was not too changing too much at a time. So we thought that flute would be the best for it. And the others, we just played around and saw what sounded best.
Neat.
That's cool.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's such a neat way to take a current event, a passion, and really be creative and bring that art aspect into it. I think you could have just stopped right with the data. Like what you found out was really interesting, seeing the decrease. And I know also looking at data analysis and looking at like the, was it like the movement of the earth was so amazing. So I love that. I think it was a really neat way to connect the music. I have to ask about the individual behind you. What is that character behind you?
Well, behind us is Marsbot. So this is a project, a robot that we made pretty recently, so just a year or two ago. And this is one of our really fun type of projects because we love making things using objects around our house. And I'm also really interested in coding and machine learning. So this is a project where we mixed both of them together. So the whole problem statement was that astronauts in going to space, astronauts spend 6 or over 9 months on the International Space Station. And in future missions, they'll be spending even longer separated away from their families and homes. So we created our robot, Marsbot. So first, the making part, we just took a couple of cool noodles that were lying around our house to make the arms. And using our knowledge of electronics, we put motors on both the arms as well as a styrofoam head so that we could make them move and turn. But we wanted to do something else. I used my knowledge of machine learning. Machine learning is basically finding patterns in the data. So I put a camera onto the robot, and then I showed a machine learning model 1,000 pictures of happy faces. I also showed it 1,000 images of sadder or angry faces. So it was able to look through the data and learn what makes a happy face happy. So happy faces might have your mouth curling up a little bit, your eye shape might be different, whereas in a sad face, it'll be able to learn what makes a face sad. So when an astronaut or someone steps in front of the robot and makes a face, the robot will be able to tell if they're happy or sad. And if they're sad, it can give them something like a high five or play some music for them.
That's super cool, man. Are there any other, like you say you're interested in machine learning as a thing, and I'm sort of playing with a bit of machine learning myself. What other applications have you found that interest you for the machine learning models that you're training and things like that? Do you do a lot of vision, or are there other sort of ways that you're applying machine learning?
So there are definitely a lot of ways that we apply machine learning in our projects. Just a quick a side note, I started getting interested into machine learning around 1.5 years ago. And at first, I really didn't know much about it. It's at first it really seemed like a really daunting topic. That's something that would be impossible to approach. But I realized that it isn't actually that hard to learn something new because there's so many resources around you. I just took some online classes, which already got me started on the path of machine learning, and I even took a few courses at my local university, which really perfected my technique on coding and machine learning. So, some of the more recent applications of machine learning, of course, as we mentioned, we love space, everything about space. And a great thing about space is that there's so many telescopes, both in space and on orbit around the Earth, as well as on the ground. And they collect a lot of data, exabytes of data every day. And for machine learning, the key thing is data. So obviously, space and machine learning were a perfect match. So my latest project on machine learning and space is a model that can predict the different gases and chemicals present in exoplanet atmospheres using data from telescopes. And in fact, the data that this machine learning was trained on was data set from the European Space Agency's aerial mission.
Oh, wow. That's really neat. So are these all just like open source? Like, were you able just to, or did you have to have like a membership to get access to this data? Especially for folks, I can imagine we have folks at home who are like, oh, wait, like this is great. I can start learning machine learning by getting data on space, bringing those two loves together. How were you able to get access to that information?
Well, in fact, the best thing about these organizations like NASA and ESA is that all of their data is available to the public. So you can get, just sitting from your home, any of you can just search up on a NASA or ESA website and immediately find hundreds of different data sets on any topic that interests you in space, on asteroids, on exoplanets, and you can easily download it with a click of your button. So that's definitely something that we find amazing about
That's amazing. That is amazing. I mean, you say the European Space Agency allows the data. Have you guys, you're in Canada, right? You live in Canada.
Yes.
Have you heard of the AstroPi project? You could actually get control of the camera that we point out the window of the International Space Station for 2 laps, right? Take all those photos and then feed them through one of your machine learning algorithms. So if you're taking photos of the Earth, you can keep them and then you can sort them with one of your machine learning algorithms. You should have a look, man. Have a go. I reckon you guys would kill it.
Yeah, it's definitely great that the International Space Station provides this service because now anyone, just the fact if you're a kid and you're interested in space and you're able to get your hands on real data that's coming from the International Space Station, I think it's like a spark. It can really inspire you. And once you get on your first project, you really can't stop because there's so much to learn. There's so much to explore in these fields.
Definitely. So I want to check in. I know, like, I hear that both of you have also got involved in outreach work. So can you tell us a little more about some of the work that you've been doing?
Yeah, sure. So outreach is actually a very important part of our project because people are not going to be looking at the hours that we spend or the effort we spend doing the project, but they're going to be looking at the final outcome. So we show our project everywhere, in maker festivals. I even do class show and tells in my class, and I actually do science on the road. So science on the road means that me and my brother set up stalls on the road with some other people, and then lots of families will be looking at our stalls and our projects on the stalls and asking questions. So we also do presentations, a lot of them at the Ontario Science Centre that we go to a lot. And our presentations are normally on a recent project that we've been working on.
Ooh, tell us about that.
Yeah. So we do many projects in the Ontario Science Centre. Like, for example, once we did, for example, we showed this Mars bot, and we showed many more of our projects. And I think that outreach is very good because we believe that you have not fully mastered your project until you can actually explain it, so that even like a kid who does not know anything about space can understand what you're saying.
That's really cool. And so what's next for you guys? What is it that you want to get up to next? What's your next target or project or concept? What are you working on moving forward?
Well, making does not ever end. Like, you keep on making new and newer projects. Like, for example, right now, I make many types of projects. Some require only a couple days, while some take me a long time. For example, recently, I've been making this project called the Jowty. So this one took only a couple days. So what it is basically is using only one battery, I can switch on 6 LEDs for a very long time. So basically, this is using the most out of the battery that you can. So this is very useful for me. And as it's a short project, I can start mixing it in my other projects. For example, I'm planning on making a submarine. But the thing is, when my submarine goes underwater to collect the water quality, then it will not get any solar panels. It will not have any charge coming in. So that means that we would have to use the most out of the small bit of battery or charge you get. And that's why this can come in useful.
Yeah. That's really neat. I love that's something you're recently working on. I see Gargoyle Drake on Twitch mentions just the thrilling of experience of getting a light to flash from a sensor. You can get addicted to that feeling. And it's so neat to see that you're still continuing to work on your projects and thinking ahead of okay, I want the submarine. This is a new tool that I can make for it.
Absolutely. And everything that you've made before is a tool or a stepping stone to making something else, right? Something more complicated. You can take all those, collect them, and make something bigger. That's really cool. I love that attitude, guys. That's proper hacky attitude. I love it. Very cool. And thanks for coming along today, guys. Artash and Arushi. It was awesome to have you and to see all the projects that you've been making. It's very inspiring, especially for my machine learning work. Like you say, it's quite daunting to get started, but once you get into it, it's amazing things you can do.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you both. It was great to connect with you. Hi.
Catch you later, guys. Awesome. How cool was that? Those projects, they're amazing.
It was really neat. I need to be making more. I want to be able to just, have the robot behind me,
It makes you feel lazy, right? It makes you feel lazy when you see how much stuff that these young guys are getting up to. And I'm
it's inspiring. I'm definitely inspired. I'm feeling inspired
amazing.
for sure. Awesome.
Very cool.
We just almost had someone join us. But yeah, thank you so much to Artash and Arushi. That was incredible. And we also loved connecting with you all at home. I see Ralph from Germany on Facebook. Shout out to Chafia from Tunisia, Uriel from Mexico, Deval in Los Angeles. We have Bangladesh. Oh my gosh, it's so great to see so many of you all joining us for Digital Making at Home.
Very cool. And don't forget, if you have an amazing idea for a project, you can always enter it in Coolest Projects next year. Maybe showcase your work for the whole world, like Artash and Arushi did. So get working on it now so it's ready in time. Don't procrastinate like I always do and do everything at the last minute. And then you're up till 4 a.m. trying to bang it together the night before. Classic.
Sometimes some amazing projects come out of that, but give yourself a little bit of time. Some of you, if you are an artful procrastinator, by all means, do what works best for you.
I do work really well under pressure, I have to say. It's when I'm under pressure that I do my best work. So I think maybe that's what I'm doing. That's my excuse to myself, is I'm playing into my strengths by procrastinating to the last minute.
I feel like that too. Now that I have a puppy, it's when she's sleeping, I'm like, all right, game on. Time to get the work done.
It's baby, right? Same.
Right.
It's like, cool, okay, go.
Very similar. I've definitely been messaging with friends who have babies, and I'm like, the puppy's asleep. She's like, the baby's asleep. You want to chat?
Go. Yeah. For
sure. Amazing. Well, that's all the time we have for this week, folks, but you can always get in touch with us. Send us an email at dmah@raspberrypi.org. We love to hear from you. And if you're a young digital maker interested in joining the stream, let us know.
Absolutely. We have another live stream next week, same time, same place. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube at rpf.io/sub so that you'll find out when we're going live. More content will be coming out all the time. So yeah, thank you all for being here this week, and we'll see you again next week. We're going to be speaking with Sandeep in India next week, who founded an organization called Code Tigers, teaching kids to code out there. So until then, stay safe and healthy, and